Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Today is 18th of March and I welcome you all to Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in this entire session, we take the entire Hindu newspaper. We take all articles that are there in Hindu newspaper which are relevant for our examination. We discuss these particular articles along with the background as well as with the way forward. Also, I would like to tell you that in this particular session, we also provide the synoptic notes of the articles that we discuss, and these synoptic notes are available on our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. You can visit Telegram channel and can download these synoptic notes. Also, every article we redesign specifically to meet the needs of UPSC examination, and you will find the article divided as context, main body, and way forward, the typical format in which we need to write our answers in the examination. So let's get started with the today's session. And before starting the session, let's take briefly overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are relevant in the today's newspaper. So let's get started with the overview first. Now here we have Delhi edition, and first let's analyze this particular thing. So first article that we have here is big beneficiaries claim inability to reveal poll bond donor details. Now guys, we have seen this particular development multiple number of times, that what has happened, Supreme Court has invalidated, or Supreme Court has held that electoral bond scheme is invalid. Electoral bond scheme is invalid now, and Supreme Court has directed Election Commission of India to publish the details that which political party got how much money, from which donor they got the money. This detail is to be provided. Now, big political parties such as BJP, Congress, they have refused to share the information, saying that we have not compiled such kind of information. Now, here the breakup of different political parties, which group gave them money, it has been given. Now, I will advise you not to go too much in detail in these articles. Every day, 3-4 articles are coming, because understand this particular thing. We need to understand electoral bond issue in academic dimension. Fine, every political details, ball by ball commentary is not needed. So I will not advise you to waste too much of your time in this. Okay. Modi can't win poll without EVM, CBI, ED. Again, political articles. Fine. So no need to go too much in that detail. Fine. Governor stalls reinduction of Ponmudi in the Tamil Nadu cabinet. Foreign students attack over namaz. Fine, nothing much important is given. However guys, here we see this particular thing, that when we talk about Tamil Nadu, or particularly the states where some different political party is ruling, there we find that governor has often, the position of governor has become controversial. It has been said by these states that because political party in center and the other party is different, center government uses the position of governor to stall the democratic functioning in the states, and in this capacity many confrontation has happened, and now this confrontation is going on. Find where names indicate the date of birth. Okay, so this article is talking that how Singpho communities in Arunachal Pradesh, fine, they are named as according to the order in which they are born. Fine. Arvind Kejriwal now gets CD summon, again political article, not important. Then guys, in the city section, we largely have the political regional issues that are there. Okay, and nothing much important is given in this particular direction. Okay, here there is one particular article that just I want to share for your ethics GS4, social influence. So snake venom at rave party YouTuber is held. So guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about ethics GS paper number 4, there is the topic of social influence that is mentioned. Now we today see this particular thing, that earlier cinema stars, they used to they used to hold a lot of social influence on the people. They could modify the preferences of the people. Okay, they used to be the icons for the people, but nowadays we find this thing, that with the emergence of social media, YouTubers, they have become a big social influence. And here when we see such kind of social influencers doing such unethical things, fine, it is unethically not right. Fine, these social influencers, because they hold so much of authority, need to be held responsible, and they need to behave in a manner which is ethically and morally justified. Okay, moving on in the state section, then again, guys, continuing, we have largely the regional issues, political issues, nothing much important is given. So directly we'll reach to editorial section. Now in editorial, we have this article here, many elections, AI is dark dimension. We'll take this article with respect to GS paper number 2. Myanmar's conflict is a regional problem. We'll take this particular article also with respect to GS paper number 2. India and India's neighbors. Then further moving on, here we have this article on the ballot election commission must ensure a free, fair and democratic process. This is in the context of elections that are now coming. Bonded favors, so again electoral bond that the BJP Congress should come forward, should give the information that how much money they received, all such things are there. Fine. Now guys, I have read the articles, but these articles are very generic. Academic substance specifically for examination is not that much there. Then moving on, military is continuing hold over Pakistan, that how the Pakistan military, so it is said that usually the countries have the military, but in the case of Pakistan, military is having a country. Okay, and how the military is the one who is the kingmaker in the context of Pakistan. Fine. Moving on, guys, in this direction, then the problem equity in IPCC report, we'll see this particular article. How the new election commissioners are elected, we'll see this article also. What is the HbA1c test? We'll see this particular article also for examination. Then guys, further moving on here, Chhattisgarh books ex-CM in Mahadev app case. Fine, largely the political articles etc. are there. No need to go too much in detail. Okay, here we have this article, marathon operation by Navy IEF led to pirates surrender. So this is a very good achievement that, guys, recently what has happened. Fine. So, okay. Somali pirates, they captured a Maltese flagged vessel Ruin. Okay, and this particular thing was discovered by the drone operated by Indian forces. And what happened with the in a marathon operation held by both Navy and the Indian Air Force, they got the pirates to surrender, and this ships was retrieved. Okay, so this guys, these kind of things can be used as an example that how India can be the net security provider in the Indian Ocean region and beyond. Indian Ocean region and beyond. Fine, Ayodhya turns a tourist hotspot, guides leave devotees high and dry. So there needs to be a focus on ensuring that temple cities, cultural towns that are being promoted by government in tourism, they should have the adequate facilities in terms of infrastructure, tourist guides, etc. should be there, because without this, we cannot reap low-hanging fruits of tourism. Fine. Further moving on, Putin poised to rule Russia after an election with no real choices. So, if you remember, few days back, guys, we have seen this particular development. Few days back, we have seen this particular development that Russia is going for elections in 2024. Putin is going to contest, but no real competition is there. Here we have this article: EU and Egypt agree to a 7.4 billion euro deal on energy migration. We'll take this article. Netanyahu vows not to stop, okay, despite US criticism of Gaza war. Then today is Monday. On Monday, we don't have a business page, we have this money wise page. So this is, guys, all about it. I hope that you have understood. Here we can take one example. Just a minute. Yes. So here we can take one example. Example of gun. Example of a gun. So gun is a tool. Gun is a tool. When you see gun in the hand of an army officer, when you see gun in the hand of an army officer, you feel secured. You feel secured. But when you see the same gun in the hand of a terrorist, when you see same gun in the hand of a terrorist, you feel terrified. You feel threatened. You feel uneasy. Why? Gun is the same. Gun is a tool. But army officer, we know that he has a professional ethics. He has morals intact in him. He has the ethics of humanity in him. Okay. So therefore, when we see the gun in the hand of army officer, we don't feel threatened. But when we see it in the hand of the terrorist, we feel threatened. So any tool can be used for good or bad. It's the ethics of the artist using that particular tool. Fine. So same way, nuclear technology can be used for good, can be used for bad. It depends on the ethics of the country possessing the nuclear technology, that in which direction they are going to use it. Fine. So this particular quotation can be used for GS paper number 4 ethics. GS paper number 4 ethics. So that is all guys about the quotation here, and now let's discuss all the other articles one by one in detail. Okay. Many election AI is a dark dimension. Okay, this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 3. GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 3. Issues related to election. Issues related to election and AI's impact, artificial intelligence impact on election. Artificial intelligence impact on election. So let's get started with this. So basically, when we talk about 2024, we see this particular thing that general elections are going to be conducted in India, and along with the India, 50 plus countries are having elections, and many of the countries such as the US, they are having their election, UK is having election, then also we see this that Russia is having election, fine, India is also there. Okay, so more than 50 countries are having election. Now we have seen this particular thing that generative artificial intelligence, it has made a breakthrough in the world. Generative artificial intelligence platforms such as Chat GPT, Microsoft Copilot, Google's Gemini, these generative artificial intelligence, they are being used everywhere. They are being used everywhere. Okay, now understand this particular thing guys, that the way artificial intelligence is moving forward, the time is not far that this generative artificial intelligence will turn in will turn in general artificial intelligence. General artificial intelligence, what is general artificial intelligence? Now generative artificial intelligence has limited application. For example, they can generate a particular type of output on a particular type of a command. For example, Chat GPT can generate answer, can generate text if you give a prompt. For example, you give a prompt that I want to write an essay on cow, it will give you a essay. That they can give you generate, they can generate text. Same way we have Mid Journey, we have Dale. What they can do, they can generate image on the basis of text. So these are the generative AI, they have limited capabilities in terms of output that they can give. But what is general artificial intelligence? What is general artificial intelligence? General artificial intelligence is like human type, fine, they are not limited, fine, they can think laterally, okay, multiple ideas they can combine at their own and can give you output. Okay, so human like intelligence, this is general artificial intelligence. This is not too far given the development going on in artificial intelligence. Now artificial intelligence, it is being used for many good purposes. For example, it is being used in education, it is being used in drug discovery. Okay, a lot of things which had repetitive the things which had many repetitive processes, they have been simplified by AI. So guys, we see this particular thing that AI, this AI technology, it is enhancing the human lives, but at the same time, it also has certain risks. And these risks are particularly in the context of election. Now understand this particular thing. When we talk about AI can provide curated misinformation campaign, can help in the electoral manipulation also. Let's understand with the help of one particular AI technology. Now guys, understand this particular thing that deep fake became a very big concern. What is a deep fake? Deep fake are synthetic media. Deep fake are synthetic videos. Fine, so as in Photoshop we superimpose the face of a person over the body of some other person, so these deep fakes can create fake videos of people doing something that they have not done, saying something that they have not said. So deep fake refers to synthetic videos of people created often without their consent, and in these videos they are shown doing some disturbing things, saying some disturbing things. So these deep fakes are there. Now these deep fake video, these fake videos, they are becoming hyper realistic by the AI, artificial intelligence. Are you getting? And here recently Chat GPT, the founders of Chat GPT, that is Open AI, they have come out with the Sora, which is a platform, fine, where you just give a prompt and it can give you hyper realistic video. So these deep fake videos can be used in elections to polarize the election. For example, a particular leader's video can be made saying some unpopular opinions, doing something which is not ethical, and by that elections can be polarized. So through these deep fakes, misinformation campaign, manipulation, propaganda can be invoked. Now one guy's idea I just want to connect, one idea I want to connect here. Listen this particular thing, that in 2016 Oxford came that post truth, post truth was selected as the word of the year. Post truth, what is post truth? Post truth is a phenomena where people are more concerned by emotions rather than fact. Post truth society, for example, post truth society is one where people care more about emotions rather than fact. Post truth election, post truth election is when the election candidates, they are trying to appease the emotions and sentiment of the people rather than talking on fact and policies. So this is the post truth. So basically today sentiments have become more important, and sentiments surrounding nationalism, sentiments surrounding religion, they have become more important. Now just guys, will connect this particular thing with one more piece of information. And if you follow, we have seen it in the newspaper also. Recently Pew survey came out with a survey. Pew Research Organization came out with a survey and asked the voters about their election preferences. And what has happened? Majority of people in India, they have said that they support the authoritarian regimes. They support the authoritarian regime. They are becoming frustrated with the democracy. Okay, so people today, they are becoming frustrated by democracy. They support the authoritarian regime. Why? Because this is actually based on the sentimental appeal. Often the cult leaders, authoritarian leaders, they have the sentimental appeal, so people are moving towards them. Now all these kind of trends can be funneled, can be further promoted by AI campaigns, can be promoted further by AI campaigns. And actually and actually we see this particular thing, that India will see that how AI is going to impact the electoral processes in the coming election. Guys, if I tell you very frankly, 2024 actually, we might actually not see that much AI's influence also, because fine tuning the AI platforms specifically for election will take time, and elections are just around the corner. But very surely in 2029 election, AI is going to play a very, very important role, very, very important role. And AI will try to manipulate the voter perception, will try to carry the propaganda by the usage of the deep fakes, by the usage of the deep fakes. Is it clear? It will be used to spread misinformation, disinformation, propaganda. AI hallucination is also there. Okay, what happens? Often AI fabricates information. Often it fabricates information to solve problems. To solve problems, it makes its own information. So such is the impact of AI on elections. Now, guys, what we need to do? So article provides this particular thing, that we need to first of all acknowledge that the AI can have, artificial intelligence can have the disruptive potential. First acknowledge that. After acknowledging, don't panic. Don't panic. But there is a need to implement the robust checks and balances. We need to come out with a regulatory structure. We need to came out with the bodies. We need to came out with the comprehensive laws to ensure that the AI is not being used for destructive purposes. We see that under Article 324, Election Commission of India has been given the power for the superintendence of the election. So Election Commission of India should use its powers in this particular direction. AI's mischief potential, such as the AI hallucination, AI poisoning, fine. AI driven propagandas are also needed to be recognized. Then moving on this particular capacity. Now, guys, when we talk about India, India is standing at the crossroad of the fourth industrial revolution. In this fourth industrial revolution, AI technologies, self-driven cars, artificial machine-to-machine communication, that are going to be the technologies for future. And India here need to emerge as a leader in digital arena, AI arena, and should find out the solution and should teach the solution to other countries also. So this is, guys, all about it, and we need to ensure that again AI is a tool. So if you remember, we have seen today's quotation that a tool can be used for both good or bad. So AI is a tool, can be used for good, can be used for bad. So people holding these tools need to ensure that how these particular tools will be used. Okay, so this is about it. Now here we have one mains answer that we can practice on this particular article, and the mains answer question is like this. critically analyze impact of artificial intelligence, particularly generative AI, on the democratic processes and electoral integrity with reference to global elections scheduled in the year 2024. How can policymakers mitigate potential risk while harnessing the benefit of AI in election? So this will be a 15 marker question for your GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2. So guys, try attempting this particular question, okay? Because see, the point is that if your engagement will not be there, fine. See, your lack of engagement indirectly hints us that whether we should continue or not. So if you will not participate in answer writing or in any such kind of a thing, fine, then uh, that is not right thing. So please try to write answers on this. The Myanmar conflict is a regional problem. The Myanmar conflict is a regional problem. Now, so basically, this particular article, it is talking about the coup going in Myanmar. So guys, we see that in February 2021, Myanmar's armed forces military junta of Myanmar, they took over the democratic government of Myanmar, and since then junta or the Myanmar's military, it is ruling Myanmar. Now, because of this particular thing, there is widespread violence that is going on, suppression of human rights that has happened. Media houses, they are also being silenced. So this particular development has a lot of implication on the neighborhood countries, including India. First of all, guys, when we talk about Myanmar, understand this particular thing, that Myanmar holds a very important place in India's Act East policy. It holds an important place in India's Act East policy, where we need to further integrate with the Eastern, Southeast Asian economies. Myanmar plays an important role. Basically, Myanmar also is an important partner in the trilateral highway that India is developing. Moreover, basically, situation in the context of Myanmar is little bit complicated for India. I will explain you one particular dimension. Listen very carefully. Now you see this particular thing, that India has always supported democratic. India have always supported democratic values, democratic regimes. Okay. In Myanmar, what has happened? In Myanmar, what has happened? Military coup has happened. In Myanmar, military coup has happened. And through this military coup, democratic government is suppressed. Now, if we talk about India's response, what India should do? India should condemn this military coup. India should clearly put forward their demand that the democratic government should be restored as soon as possible. But if India will do, what will happen? Myanmar's military will go near to the China, and China always is trying to find out the opportunities to spread the unrest in India. So what can happen if military of Myanmar becomes frustrated from India? Then Myanmar and China cooperation will increase, and the China with the help of Myanmar will try to spread unrest in the northeast India because of the boundary linkages that are there between the Myanmar and northeast. Okay, so value wise we cannot support military, but at the same time we cannot condemn military in Myanmar. So it has always been a very sticky, very problematic situation for India. Keep this particular dimension in your mind. Okay, now moving on. So military coup in Myanmar happened in February 2021. Since then, widespread violence, suppression of media, humanitarian crisis is going on. Now, what has happened? Independent media has been cracked down. Media houses has been cracked down. Okay, this in itself is a very big humanitarian crisis. Also, we find that 2 million people in Myanmar, they are 2 million people in Myanmar, and 1.5 million refugees, they have been displaced. And particularly Rohingyas in Myanmar, they are facing so much of atrocities that what are happening? People from Myanmar, they are running to the nearby neighborhood countries. And because of this particular thing, countries such as Bangladesh, China, India, Thailand, they have seen exodus or entry of too many of the illegal immigrants, which is becoming a national security challenge for these particular countries also. Okay, also it is a humanitarian crisis. Now, ASEAN countries, they came out with a 5-point consensus. This 5.5 point consensus was based on ensuring a cooperation between the government and military in Myanmar. But what has happened, this 5 point consensus has not been followed. It has been rejected by the Myanmar's junta, their military. Okay, and because of that, the conflict is not resolved. Now, because in Myanmar fighting is going on, resistance groups which are opposing the Myanmar's military, they have also came forward, and there are more than 600 resistance groups that have been formed around Myanmar. And because of this, a kind of a civil war type of situation, is going on in Myanmar. Now this continued fighting, again it is leading to humanitarian crisis, and this thing is a big regional security concern for India. So therefore, what way forward, what suggestions can be given in this particular direction? First of all, international community such as ASEAN, regional neighbors, they should adopt a comprehensive approach to address the conflict. They should adopt a comprehensive approach to address the conflict. They should come together and try to find innovative ways to bring the military of Myanmar on board on table. Fine, accepting now, basically, junta, they are indicating that they will conduct the election. But even if the military of Myanmar will conduct the election, that election will be rigged. That election will not be fair. So any election conducted without the supervision, without the free and fair conduct, that election should not be allowed, and its result should also not be endorsed. Then we need to support the independent media, and we need to protect the journalists, fine, in Myanmar, who are going to play an important role. So this is something that needs to be the approach of neighborhood countries, ASEAN countries, and the regional powers such as India need to play such constructive role in this particular direction. So that is all about it. Now, main question on this particular article: analyze the role of regional organization like ASEAN in managing internal conflicts of member states with a focus on Myanmar crisis. Discuss the effectiveness of ASEAN's intervention in Myanmar conflict and the implication of regional stability and international diplomacy. Okay, this is the next questions part. Okay, so this will be the GS paper number 2 answer, fine, 15 marker. So that is all about it, and now let's move to next article. The problem of equity in IPCC reports. The problem of equity in IPCC reports. Okay. Now this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, climate justice. GS paper number 3, climate justice and issues related to it. Fine. Now, before going in this particular article, first of all, what is this IPCC? IPCC. IPCC stands for Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. IPCC as a body is created by World Meteorological Organization and United Nations Environment Program. Now IPCC, what it does, it releases its reports from time to time. These particular reports gave crucial information with respect to climate change, efforts taken by countries in direction of climate change. Fine. So with respect to climate change, important reports, crucial reports are released by IPCC from time to time, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Now, what has happened? Recently, IPCC has released a study. In this particular study, what they have done, they have scrutinized 500 future emission scenarios. They have scrutinized 500 future emission scenarios. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that under Paris Agreement, this goal was, or this target was taken, that we should try that global temperature should not rise beyond 2 degrees Celsius, and if possible we need to restrict the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So 1.5 degrees Celsius is an ambitious target that we will try to achieve. Now understand this particular thing. If we want to stay within this particular limit, we need to envisage that how the emissions in the future will be carried. Okay, how the emissions in the future will be carried. So 500 different type of scenarios have been studied, future scenarios, okay, have been predicted, have been studied by IPCC. Now, these particular scenarios, majority of these particular scenarios, They were found to project that in the world tomorrow, if we want to stay in this particular limit that we discussed, we need to focus on high carbon sequestration. Fine. Now, high carbon sequestration means that we need to rely on carbon sinks, forest, who will absorb more and more carbon. So, high carbon sequestration through deploying more and more forest will be needed. And there is a higher deployment of carbon capture storage technology that will be there. And they can be deployed where? They can be deployed in developing countries. They can be deployed in developing countries. Understand this particular thing. Now, basically, to now see when they are analyzing the future scenarios and how in future we will stay in the limit, what the IPCC does, they prepare integrated assessment models. They prepare these integrated assessment models. Now, these integrated assessment models, they try to basically what they take in account, they take in account the most cost effective solution, most cost effective solution. So today, sorry, tomorrow, if we want to stay in this particular range, 1.5 degree to 2 degree Celsius temperature rise, we need to focus on carbon capture, we need to focus on carbon sequestration. That can be done more in that can be done more easily and in a more cost efficient manner. It can be done in a developing country. This is the conclusion that is coming. Now it opens up a dimension of equity. Now, what dimension of equity opens up? Understand this particular thing, guys. Basically, historic emissions, they are done by whom? Historic emissions are actually done by the developed countries. Okay, developing countries such as India, they are not the one responsible for historic emissions. Majority of historic emissions is done by the developed countries, European countries, North America. Okay, and today when the carbon emission are to be reduced, then the disproportionate burden of carbon removal is again being put on developing country. So developed country, when industrial revolution was going on, they emitted a lot of carbon and generated a lot of growth for them, generated a lot of progress from them. That time they were not responsible. Even today they are not being held responsible. On the developing country, it is being said that in your country it is more efficient to deploy carbon storage. It is in your country, it is more efficient to deploy carbon capture. So you should take the burden. So here responsibility is being imposed on developing country, but the benefit were never given to developing country. This is climate injustice. This is climate inequity. This dimension has been put forward. This dimension has been put forward. So this study conducted by researchers, it revealed persistent inequities in projected per capita GDP. Okay, per capita carbon emission reduction. Okay, so this is something that is to be done. Now IPCC should ensure that common but differentiated responsibility principle, should be followed in both theory as well as practice. Okay, so this is guys all about this article, and you can refer to the text also that I have provided. Now moving on to next article. What is HbA1c test and why is it used to check for diabetes? This article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3 as well as GS paper number 2 public health. GS paper number 3 as well as GS paper number 2 public health. Now, basically, guys, when we talk about diabetes happens to be one of a very big health burden or health crisis that the world is seeing. When we talk about individuals over the age of 30, they have a higher susceptibility of getting diagnosed with the diabetes. According to Indian Council of Medical Research, India is estimated to have 10.13 crore people with diabetes. More than 10 crore people in India are having diabetes, and 13.6 crore people in India are pre-diabetic. Pre-diabetic, and India accounts for 17% of diabetes patients in the world. 17% of diabetes patient in the world are 17% of diabetes patient in the world are in India. This is a very big health crisis for India. Now, when we talk about India, guys, we always say that India is having demographic dividend because of the young population that is there in India. India will have distinct economic advantage. But understand this particular thing. Understand this particular thing that this demographic advantage will become demographic burden if we don't keep our people healthy, if we don't keep our people fit. Now, there is a particular type of a test, that is hemoglobin A1C or HbA1c. also called as the glycosylated hemoglobin test. So this HbA1c test can be used to predict the level of blood sugar in people, and by that we can predict whether the people are diabetic, whether they are pre-diabetic. Now, understand this particular thing, that sugar enters our body or our bloodstream through the food we eat. Okay, so you are eating rice, you are eating refined sugar, you are eating fruit. They elevate the blood sugar. A blood sugar enters our bloodstream. Now, the sugar or glucose contained in any type of food that you are eating, it attaches to the hemoglobin in your blood. It attaches itself to the hemoglobin in your blood. So everybody, they have some sugar attached to their hemoglobin. Now, people who are pre-diabetic or people who are diabetic, they have more sugar attached to their hemoglobin. People who are pre-diabetic or diabetic, they have more hemoglobin attached to their they have more sugar attached to their hemoglobin. And HbA1c test measures that how much sugar is attached to the hemoglobin. It sees that how much sugar is attached to the hemoglobin, and by that it predict whether the person is diabetic, pre-diabetic. Okay, now when we talk about this particular test result can be different under certain condition. If a person is having kidney failure, liver failure, anemia, some blood disorders, or if they have some different type of less common type of hemoglobin, then the result can vary, but otherwise the result gives a very good reading. Now, according to IMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, it is said that individuals older than 30 years should be screened for diabetes. Should be screened for diabetes regularly, and HbA1c test should be conducted regularly. If you have normal blood glucose, then once in 3 years at least it should be done. If you're pre-diabetic, once a year it should be done. However, if you are diabetic, then some other frequent intervals it can be suggested. So it has been provided that HbA1c test, it is different from the traditional blood sugar test, because traditional blood sugar test, they can fluctuate depending on the types of food that you have eaten in last meals. But HbA1c, this is independent of these variables. It is more reliable and can be done anytime, irrespective of the time when you consumed your meal. Fine. Also, it gives the average blood sugar that has been present in your bloodstream in the last 2-3 years. So this particular test is more reliable and it should be done. Now, one question we can frame on this: evaluate the significance of HbA1c test in early detection and management of diabetes in the context of India's growing diabetes burden. Considering the Indian Council of Medical Research guideline, how can early screening and management strategies be improved to address the rising tide of diabetes? Okay. Now, moving on. Okay. We have this article, how were the new election commissioners selected? Now, this article is for GS paper number 2, and guys, we have frankly discussed this particular article so many times that I can't even remember. So, just I think 2-3 days back also we have seen this particular article. So, this particular article talks about the selection of new election commissioners in India. So guys, recently we have seen that President has appointed Mr. Gyanesh Kumar and Mr. Sukhbir Singh Sandhu, both retired officers, IAS officers, as election commissioners to fill up the 2 vacancies that were there. Now their selection has been done under the new law that was passed recently by the government, that is Chief Election Commissioner and Other Election Commissioner Act 2023. Now, as per this particular act, a 3-member selection committee was to be constituted, and this selection committee has done this particular appointment. In this particular selection committee, there were 3 members. Who were the 3 members? Number one, there was the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi was there. Then the Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah was there, and the leader of opposition, leader of Congress, that is Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary was there. These 3 people have done this particular appointment. Now, and this selection committee was provided in this Chief Election Commissioner and Other Election Commissioner Appointment Act 2023. Now people have moved to Supreme Court. Activists, they have moved to Supreme Court against this particular selection. Why they have moved to the Supreme Court? Okay, we'll discuss this particular thing. But before that, Article 324 you need to know. Article 324 gives the power of superintendence, direction and control of election in Election Commission. Now, guys, from 1950, for next 40 years till 1989, Election Commission stayed a single member body. Okay, and Election Commission, there was only one person in the Election Commission. In 1989, it was made as a multi-member body. okay, multi-member body. And in 1991 there was a law that was brought which fixed the condition of office to of chief election commissioner and election commissioner. But understand this particular thing, that this particular law did not provide it for any appointment process. Up till now, up till now, how the appointment of chief election commissioner and election commissioner were happening, they were being done by the president. So president was appointing the chief election commissioner and election commissioner. There was a process that the law ministry will put up a panel of names in front of prime minister. Prime minister will select one name, will give that name to president, and president will make the appointment. So entire selection is happening through the ruling government, So Supreme Court in Anup Barnwal versus Union of India judgment said that this process is not right. This process is not right. You need to come out with some alternative process. And Supreme Court here suggested that there should be a three-member body. And this three-member body will contain, Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition in Lok Sabha, and the Chief Justice of India. Now, government what it did when it passed this particular act, that is Chief Election Commissioner and Other Election Commissioners Act, this created three-member body. But this three-member body, it has Prime Minister, right? Leader of Opposition, right? But in place of Chief Justice of India, they had Cabinet Minister. So majority is of ruling party, and it is being said that at the end of the day, nothing changes. So therefore, people have moved to the Supreme Court. So this is, guys, the entire development that has been there, and we have multiple times discussed it in the past also. So that is all about it. And now moving to next article. European Union and Egypt agree to a 7.4 billion euro deal on energy migration. Okay. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. That when we talk about, understand this particular thing. Just a minute. Okay. Now, if you see, fine, here we have Egypt. Okay. So here you can see we have Egypt. Now, if you analyze the map of Egypt here, so we see that in the south we have Sudan. Here. Okay. Now we also see this particular thing, that Egypt, it is also is in vicinity of this Gaza. Okay. Here you have Gaza. Just a minute. So here we have Gaza. Here we have Israel. Okay. So on one hand we have Gaza, Israel. Okay. On the another hand, if you see in the south, we have here Sudan. On the south, if you see, we have here the Sudan. Okay. Now understand this particular thing, that in Sudan from a very long period of time, there are the war that is going on between their military, okay, and between their other forces. There is this war that is going on in Sudan. Because of that, what has happened, large number of people, they have migrated from Sudan to Egypt. Similarly, because of crisis going in Libya, large number of people from Libya, they have migrated to Egypt. And because the war is going on here between the Gaza and Israel, here also there are the crises going on. And particularly after the COVID-19 pandemic, Egypt's economy has impacted. Now, if you see, guys, here we have here Red Sea. Now you know this particular thing, that ships, they come from Red Sea. And they pass through Suez Canal. And they reach the Mediterranean Sea. Now, Egypt gets a lot of money by the Suez route. But if you know, guys, that already we have discussed also, Houthi rebels. Fine. If you know, Houthi rebels are there. Fine. So there are the Houthi rebels that are creating crisis in this particular region. So from Red Sea also, Egypt is not making much of a revenue. So Red Sea revenue is not there. Okay, Red Sea revenue is not there. Sudan people are coming to Egypt, Libya people are coming to Egypt, and here fine on the Israel and Gaza front also there is a crisis that is going on. Okay, so what actually has happened, Egypt's economy has been impacted negatively. Egypt's economy has been impacted negatively. So therefore European Union is providing a financial package to Egypt. Now, as a part of this particular financial package, what has happened? So, strategic and comprehensive partnership agreement is being finalized. As a part of this strategic and comprehensive partnership agreement, 5 billion euros will be given in loan to the Egypt in 4 years. 1.8 billion euros will be given as an investment, and millions of euros will be given in bilateral projects. So projects will be developed across the Europe by European Union. So in total 7.4 billion financial package is being given to Egypt for boosting their economy. Also, European Union is going to buy the gas also from Egypt. Okay, so this is something that is going to happen. Now why this is to be done? It is because Egypt's, it is battered, their economy is battered because of the Libya crisis going on in Sudan. So Sudan is having war between the regular armed forces and paramilitary forces of Sudan, and on one hand Israel Hamas war is going on, and today Egypt is hosting 9 million migrant refugees. And see this particular thing also, that if these Egypt is not given the support package, then these refugees, they will migrate from Egypt across Mediterranean Sea to Europe. So Europe is now helping the Egypt. So this is all about this particular dimension. I hope guys that you have understood it. Beyond that, nothing much is there in this article. So with this, we come to an end to the today's session. Guys, I hope that you have liked the session. If you have liked the session, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe to the channel and leave your comments on the video as how well you are liking it. Thank you so much guys. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, take care of yourselves. Thank you.